Welcome back to Short Story Stash. On today's episode, we continue the journey of Tallulah and her trek through the mountain and her encounter with the mountain spirit. The stag stood, its massive form towering over her as it reached out with strangely human-like hands, its fingers long and slender.
Now this is going to be unpleasant, as this is supposed to be done as a child.
It warned, its tone heavy with regret, its eyes filled with a mixture of sympathy and determination. Tallulah gritted her teeth, bracing herself against the stone table, her knuckles turning white as she gripped the edge.
Just do it,
she said, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes squeezing shut in anticipation. And then suddenly, pain exploded through her body as if she was being ripped apart from the inside while engulfed in flames. A scream tore from her throat, echoing through the chamber as she writhed in agony, her body convulsing on the cold stone floor. As quickly as it had begun, the pain subsided, leaving Tallulah breathless and shaking on the cold, rocky floor, her skin slick with sweat. The stag gently picked her up, placing her back into her seat before returning to its own, its touch surprisingly gentle for a creature of its size. It waited patiently, giving her a moment to collect herself, its eyes filled with concern.
Are you alright, child?
It asked, its voice soft and concerned, its head tilted to the side as it studied her face. Tallulah took a deep, shuddering breath, lifting her gaze to meet the stag's eyes, still slightly unfocused.
I'm all right.
She managed, her voice hoarse from screaming, her throat raw and painful.
They do that to babies?
The stag chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound that seemed to fill the chamber, its shoulders shaking with mirth.
It does not feel that way when it is done at the appropriate age,
it explained, its voice rich with amusement. Suddenly, Tallulah stood, her movements fluid and powerful. She was being guided by an unseen force, her eyes widening in surprise at her own strength.
Wow, I feel powerful,
she marveled, stretching her arms above her head, her muscles rippling beneath her skin. The stag's amber eyes glowed with pride, its chest puffing out slightly.
You should, child, for you are now part of the mountain. You carry its power wherever you go. Fulfill your duties to protecting the mountain, and you shall never fear anything ever again,
it declared, its voice ringing with conviction. Tallulah's brow furrowed, a hint of hesitation creeping into her voice, her eyes narrowing slightly.
What duties?
She asked, her tone cautious and uncertain. The stag sensed her apprehension, its voice reassuring as it replied, its hand coming to rest gently on her shoulder.
All will be revealed in time. For now, we have something slightly more important to take care of, and there is much to be done.
It stood, turning towards a doorway that Tallulah could have sworn hadn't been there moments before, its cloak swirling around its legs as it moved.
Come along, child. There's no time to waste,
it called over its shoulders as it strode away, its hooves clicking against the stone floor. Tallulah rose quickly, her steps sure and steady, as she followed the stag deeper into the heart of the mountain, her heart pounding with excitement. In the heart of the mountain, Tallulah found herself in a vast underground chamber. The walls glowed with an eerie, pulsing light, casting long shadows across the rocky floor. The air was thick with the scent of earth and ancient magic. and the only sound was the steady drip of water from the stalactites above. The stag, its onyx fur blending seamlessly with the shadows, stood beside Tallulah, its amber eyes fixed upon her, its gaze intense and searching.
"This is where your training begins,"
it said, its voice echoing through the chamber, its words filled with the sense of gravity and purpose.
"Here, in the very heart of the mountain, you will learn to harness the power that flows through your veins and become the queen you were always meant to be."
Tallulah nodded, her icy blue eyes filled with determination, her jaw set with resolve. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay before her, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. The stag led her deeper into the heart, its hooves barely making a sound against the stone flooring, guiding her to a small, circular pool of water that glowed with a soft, silvery light.
"Step into the water,"
it said, its voice gentle but firm, its eyes never leaving her face.
"Let the energy flow through you and open your mind to the wisdom of the earth."
Tallulah did as she was told, stepping into the pool and gasping as the cool water enveloped her, sending a shiver down her spine. At first, nothing happened, but then, slowly, she began to feel the tingling sensation spreading through her body, starting at her toes and working its way up to the crown of her head, her skin prickling with energy. As the sensation grew stronger, Tallulah's mind was filled with visions of the mountain's past. She saw the tribes that had come before her, their lives and their struggles playing out before her eyes like a flickering dream. She saw the delicate balance that existed between the natural world and the human one, and the terrible consequences that could befall those who dared upset that balance, her breath catching in her throat at the sight of the visions. Suddenly the visions shifted, and Tallulah found herself standing in the midst of a great battle. All around her, warriors clashed and screamed, their weapons flashing in the dim light. She watched as a figure emerged from the chaos, a woman with silver hair and icy blue eyes, and her body was surrounded by an aura of shimmering green energy, her face a mask of fierce determination. Tallulah gasped, her hand flying to her mouth in shock as she realized that the woman was her, or at least a version of herself from the future. She watched as her future self unleashed the full power of the mountain upon her enemies, the earth itself rising up to swallow them whole, her eyes wide with horror. As the visions faded, Tallulah found herself back in the chamber, the stag standing before her with a knowing look in its eyes, its expression one of deep understanding.
"Now you have seen what you are capable of,"
it said, its voice filled with pride, its chest swelling with satisfaction.
"But power alone is not enough. You must learn to control it, to wield it with wisdom and restraint,"
it cautioned, its tone growing serious. And so Tallulah's training began as quickly as it could. Day after day, she worked with the stag, learning to communicate with the mountain and the spirits of the earth. She learned to call upon the elements, her hands weaving into intricate patterns in the air as she shaped the very fabric of reality to her own will. She lowered her eyebrows in intense concentration. She learned to fight with the grace and precision of a true warrior, her body twisting and turning as she honed her skills to a razor's edge, sweat glistening on her skin. Through it all, the stag was her constant companion and guide, its ancient wisdom and unwavering support a beacon of light in the darkness, its presence a comforting constant at her side. And as the weeks turned into months, Tallulah began to feel a change within herself. She was no longer the frightened, unsure girl that she had once been, but a true queen, a child of the green, ready to take her place as the protector of the mountain and to all who called it home. Her head held high and her eyes shining with newfound strength and purpose. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below, as engagement is now the most important aspect of reaching more people on YouTube. So if you guys like, share, and comment, you guys help us reach more people. And be sure to stick around because there's way more to this story and you guys are not going to want to miss how this story ends. And since this is by far our most popular video, we're going to be posting another episode of this video next week.